Hello YouTube, it's Tony. So today I will be showing you an Abyssal Demon Wilderness Guide for 2019. First of all, it's in the wilderness, so do not bring anything that you aren't willing to lose. Now, I did my test on beta server. That was when the mining and smithing rework beta was still available. I also asked my friends whether these XP rates were correct or not, and he said yes, they are indeed correct. Alright, so here is my equipment setup. I'm going to be showing you the setup for all three combat styles. The first item we have, and it's actually very important, is called the Scrimshaw Sacrifice. Basically, it will give you 50% more combat XP, but unfortunately you don't get any item drops. Nowadays, the Scrimshaw is tradable, so you can just buy it off the GE. For the Amulet Zealots, well, this is a low risk, and it's a pretty decent DPS amulet. Then we have the Demon Slayer top, followed by the bottom, then the boots, and finally the helmet. This will not only do more damage against demons, but it will also give you more combat XP as well. I'm instead using God Wars Dungeon 1 gloves because the Demon Slayer gloves are like around 4 to 5 mil or something like that. The main aura I would prioritize is Vampirism. When this aura is on cooldown, you can otherwise use Penance or Inspiration. Finally, I have Charming Imp in my tool belt. For the melee setup, you want to bring an Attuned Crystal Halberd. This is actually the highest tier, low risk weapon. Don't bring a Scythe here because you don't want to risk this. Technically, while the War Spear is classified as a halberd, but unfortunately it isn't a slash weapon, so you're definitely going to splash a lot here. The perks I would suggest are Precise 5 and the Demon Slayer perk. Here is my range setup. I have the Mechanized Chinchompas. You can bring any offhand range weapon. However, I'm using Death Lotus darts because these are not only cheap, but they're also low risk as well. Finally, for the magic setup, you can bring either a Chaotic Staff, or otherwise if you have an Attuned Crystal Staff, then yeah, by all means go ahead and bring it here. The perks I would suggest are once again Precise 5 and the Demon Slayer perk. Here is what my inventory setup looks like, and I'm going to bring these in exact amounts. You want to bring 2 Aggression Potion 4 doses. Then after that we have 1 Holy or Supreme Overload. Now the Weapon Poison Plus I would bring 1 3-dose potion. You can also bring replenishment potions as well because they will not only restore your prayer, but also give you more adrenaline as well. Just in case of PKers, you can bring a couple of pieces of food as well. My emergency teleport is the Wilderness Sword. Now for the cannon, I'm only going to bring a ranged cannon. They can tag Abyssal Demons that are out of your reach. For cannonballs, I would bring around 1.5k to 2k. The Law and Soul runes are for the Teleport to Graveyard Shadows. Finally, you can bring a shield switch as well. Any shield works fine, but it's pretty much used for the defensive abilities. If you're using magic, I would suggest you use Ancient Spellbooks because you have to be on Ancient Spellbooks anyways in order to use the Graveyard Shadows teleport. What I would suggest you bring are the Blood Barrage runes. I mean, I did use Air Surge and it worked just fine. Here are the action bars. For the melee action bar, put them in the following order. First, the Meteor Strike, then Hurricane, then Quake, and finally the basic ability called Cleave. For the rest of the basic abilities, it doesn't really matter because you're pretty much just going to use them to fill in the rotation. You also want to keybind the Wilderness Sword teleport as well. For the prayers, I would use Leech Strength, Soul Split, and finally Protect Item. Here's my range action bar. The first slot will be for Death's Witness. Then after that, I have Corruption Shot. Now, follow that afterwards with 2 threshold abilities. The rest of my basics are pretty much Needle Strike, Fragmentation Shot, Sacrifice, and anything after that, it doesn't really matter. Here are the prayers. Leech Range Strength, Soul Split, and finally, Protect Item. For the Mage action bar, I have Sunshine on the first slot. The next 3 abilities are Chain, Corruption Blast, and Dragon Breath. You want to fill the rest with any basic abilities you want. These are the main AoE abilities for magic. I also suggest you keep Tsunami and Detonate on the side. Trust me, it does give you extra AoE damage. So here are the prayers. I would suggest you bring Leech Magic Strength, Soul Split, and finally Protect Item. I've talked about the action bar and the setup, so let's talk about the strategy. It is located right beside the level 17 Wilderness Ancient Obelisk. The fastest way to get there is by using the Graveyard of Shadows, which is only available from your Ancient Spellbook. If you're not using Ancient Spellbooks just like how I did in the Magic setup, then you want to use Quick Lodestone to Wilderness and then go south. After that, you want to select destination with the obelisk. Unfortunately, it does require the hard wilderness task complete. So where do you place your cannon, Tony? It's near the tree stump, which is exactly east of the obelisk. You want to stand exactly where I'm standing, which is 2 squares east of the obelisk. Just pretty much use the same AoE abilities as I described, all 3 action bar setups. Yeah, so you want to pay attention to your HP bar and do not AFK. I mean, it can be somewhat difficult to survive, especially if an Abyssal Demon Elite spawns. Now, you also want to make sure that you set your private message completely off, just in case of stalkers. I would also suggest you hide from your clan chat because people will just guess the clan and then follow you. You also have to take into consideration that every 25 minutes your cannon will decay, so just pick up your cannon and then pretty much reset it again. When you're banking, I suggest you bank every 30 minutes or so. Now, it is very important that you pick up your cannon first, just before you use the Wilderness Sword teleport. If you don't pick up your cannon, then the cannon will just keep firing at the Abyssal Demons even while you're gone. It will constantly keep closing the bank interface. Anyways, just load your preset again and then teleport back. Now I know some of you are going to be like, why don't you do the Wilderness contracts as well? Yes, you can do Abyssal Demon contracts, and you don't even need to be on Slayer task. If you're gonna do contracts, then you need to kill 200 Abyssal Demons, and then you'll get a reward book for 42.8k combat XP. The main reason why I don't suggest you do contracts is because it kinda does give hints to PKers that, you know, when you teleport back and then get a new contract and repeat the same process pretty much. Not to mention that it's a little bit annoying to have to take your cannon back and then reset the cannon. If you were to do contracts, you would probably average around 7 contracts per hour. Sometimes PKers will show up, although it's pretty rare for them to show up. As soon as you see a white dot, you want to teleport using the Wilderness Sword from your action bar. Just don't even bother fighting them back, well, unless you're really good at PvP skills. If you do get teleport blocked, then you will have to use your shield abilities. These include Resonance, Reflect, Immortality, Anticipation, and finally, Freedom. I mean, it is a little bit hard to spot a PKer since their attacks are a little bit camouflage. I remember doing Skilling Week, and I did get attacked by PKer, yet I didn't even notice for 30 seconds. Long story short, it was kinda tragic here, no pun intended. For all 3 combat styles, here are the XP rates. Now these are the base XP rates. I didn't include any bonus XP or any other XP multipliers other than the Scrimshaw or the Demon Slayer equipment. For melee, you can kill 1,800 per hour. This would get you a whopping 1.9 million XP per hour. Yeah, it is really fast. If you do not have a Scrimshaw of Sacrifice, that's fine because you can still get 1.2 mil XP per hour from this. For range, this is bumped to 2,000 kills per hour. Yeah, that's a staggering 2.1 million XP per hour from this. Without the Scrimshaw, it would still get you 1.4 million XP per hour. Finally, for magic, unfortunately, you can only kill 1,700 of these per hour. Still pretty amazing though. You do get 1.8 mil combat XP per hour. Without the Scrimshaw, you can still get a little bit over 1.2 mil XP per hour. If you're not using a Scrimshaw Sacrifice, yeah, the GP per hour is actually pretty amazing. I mean, it is kinda risky to loot the drops because the Spring Cleaner does not work in the wilderness anymore. You will have to manually alch everything yourself. The other worst part is that the money does not end up in your money pouch, so you're kinda risking more money here. If you need proof of how I got these XP rates, then I do have a full 1 hour footage of all 3 combat styles, and I will definitely leave the link in the description. Yeah, it is honestly a very overpowered way to train combat, even without the Scrimshaw Sacrifice. Compared to the Slayer Tower, it is definitely a lot less crowded, in which case, crashers are pretty rare, unless they're PKer of course. Other than that, you just have to watch out for the PKers. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope it helps. If I missed anything, feel free to ask. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already because I will definitely be doing more combat guides in the future.